Welcome back. Tonight we're gathering around a virtual campfire where the woods are dark, the air is thick, and something unseen lingers just beyond the firelight. These aren't just ghost stories. They're real experiences sent in by scouts who went into the wilderness and found more than they bargained for. For some, a simple campout became a night they'd never forget, haunted by things they couldn't explain. So lean in, listen close, and remember, the woods are always watching. Let's begin. Tonight we delve into the shadowy corners of the wilderness, where campfire tales blur the line between reality and nightmare. Our first story comes from Kevin, a man who encountered something inexplicable during a seemingly ordinary camping trip. Kevin was a scout in the late 90s, a time when technology hadn't yet fully infiltrated the outdoor experience. Camping was simpler, more rugged, and perhaps more vulnerable to the unknown. His troop, eager to test their mettle, ventured deep into the Appalachian Mountains, a vast and ancient range steeped in folklore and whispered legends. They sought a true wilderness experience, unaware of the chilling encounter that awaited them. The Appalachian Mountains, with their dense forests and winding trails, have always been a place of mystery, a place where the veil between worlds seems thin. The first night was routine, filled with the familiar rituals of scouting. The boys set up their tents, their laughter echoing through the trees as they reveled in the camaraderie of the group. Little did they know, this sense of normalcy would soon be shattered. Tents pitched with practiced ease, creating a small village of nylon shelters amidst the towering trees. Each tent became a temporary haven, a fragile barrier against the encroaching darkness. Fire blazing, casting dancing shadows that played tricks on the eyes, the heart of their little camp, offering warmth and a sense of security against the chill of the mountain air. The crackling flames provided a focal point, a place for stories and shared experiences. Rules reviewed, safety precautions reiterated, a necessary reminder of the potential dangers lurking in the wilderness. The Scoutmaster, a seasoned outdoors man, emphasized the importance of respecting nature and being aware of their surroundings. But as the fire faded, its protective glow diminishing, the forest seemed to close in, the sounds of the night amplifying, the shadows deepening into menacing shapes. The comforting crackle of the flames slowly gave way to the rustling of leaves and the hooting of owls, sounds that now seemed less benign. Kevin and his tentmate Mike, nestled in their sleeping bags, heard something that sent shivers down their spines. The once comforting sounds of the forest now seemed to carry a sinister undertone. A heavy branch snapped just beyond the firelight, a sharp, distinct sound that cut through the stillness of the night, instantly raising their hackles. It was a sound that spoke of weight and force, something far beyond the capabilities of a small animal. The Scoutmaster, Mr. Henderson, a man of experience and authority, tried to reassure them. He shone his flashlight into the trees, the beam cutting through the darkness, searching for the source of the disturbance. The light danced across the leaves, revealing nothing but the dense foliage of the forest, insisting it was probably a bear, a common inhabitant of the Appalachian woods, a natural explanation for the snapping branch. He tried to project an air of confidence, but the unease in his voice was palpable. But his voice trembled, betraying his own apprehension, a subtle sign that something wasn't right. He knew the woods well, and he knew that some sounds couldn't be easily explained away. Inside their tent, the thin nylon walls offered little comfort. Kevin and Mike listened, their hearts pounding in their chests, every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig amplifying their fear. The darkness seemed to press in on them, filled with unseen eyes and unheard whispers. As slow, deliberate footsteps circled the camp, a sound that was far too rhythmic and purposeful to be a foraging animal. It was the sound of something stalking, something hunting. Too heavy, too purposeful to be an animal. Each footstep a heavy thud that resonated through the ground, sending vibrations through their bodies. This was something else, something unknown. The steps stopped right behind their tent, the silence that followed even more terrifying than the sound of the footsteps themselves. They held their breath, waiting, listening, their senses on high alert. The fabric pressed inward, a slow, deliberate pressure that suggested immense weight and size. Whatever was behind the tent was not human, and it was close. As if something massive leaned against it, its presence radiating an aura of immense power and unknown intent. The tent seemed to shrink around them, offering no protection against the unseen force. Tall, broad, and utterly silent, a towering figure that blotted out the stars, a silent giant whose presence filled them with dread. It was a presence that defied explanation, a creature of nightmare made real. Kevin froze, paralyzed by fear, his mind racing, trying to comprehend the impossible. He was trapped, helpless, at the mercy of whatever lurked outside. Feeling a cold presence seep through the nylon, a chilling sensation that went beyond the physical, a sense of something ancient and malevolent. The air grew heavy, thick with an oppressive energy. He could barely breathe, his lungs constricted, his heart pounding against his ribs. Panic threatened to overwhelm him, but he fought to maintain control, knowing that any sound could attract unwanted attention. The weight lingered, a suffocating pressure that seemed to steal the air from his lungs, a constant reminder of the immense presence just inches away. Time seemed to stretch into an eternity, each second an agonizing test of endurance, then vanished as suddenly as it came, the pressure lifting, the cold receding, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread and disbelief. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the frantic beating of his heart. Footsteps retreated into the woods, fading into the darkness, leaving Kevin and Mike alone with their terror. But they knew they were not truly alone. At dawn, they found two enormous, undeniable signs that what they had experienced was not a dream. Humanoid footprints behind their tent, pressed deep into the earth, a clear indication of the immense weight that had been there. Far too large for any man, dwarfing even the biggest boots, a testament to the sheer size of the creature that had left them, and deeper than a bear's, sinking into the ground with a force that spoke of immense power, a weight that no ordinary animal could possess. Mr. Henderson, his face pale and drawn, kicked dirt over the prints, attempting to erase the evidence of what they had encountered, a desperate attempt to restore a sense of normalcy, and ordered everyone to pack up immediately, his voice tight with urgency, his movements frantic. The camping trip was over. They left the park and never returned, abandoning their wilderness adventure, fleeing from the unknown terror that lurked within the woods. Kevin never forgot the feeling of being watched, the sense of unseen eyes following him, a constant reminder of the night in the Appalachian Mountains, or the silent, terrifying presence, the feeling of something immense and unknowable lurking just beyond the edge of the firelight. That pressed against his tent that night, a memory that haunted his dreams, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lies hidden within the wilderness. Whatever it was, it made sure they knew, in a way that words could never express, that they had trespassed on something ancient and powerful. They weren't welcome, their presence an intrusion, a violation of the natural order. Some things in the woods are better left undisturbed, their mysteries best left unsolved, their presence acknowledged but never challenged. The wilderness holds secrets that are not meant for human eyes, and sometimes it's best to heed the warning. We delve now into the realm of local legends, tales whispered in hushed tones around campfires, stories that cling to the very air of a place. Our next story is a local legend, a chilling account that has been passed down through generations. This particular story comes from the heart of rural Oregon, a land of towering pines and shadowed valleys. It's a story told by a troop leader, a man who dedicated his life to guiding young minds and exploring the wilderness. It's a story from rural Oregon, told by a troop leader. But this is not just a story for him. It's a burden. He still carries the weight of what happened, the haunting memory of a day that changed everything, the weight of responsibility, the gnawing uncertainty, the what-ifs that linger in the darkest corners of his mind. He still carries the weight of what happened. The incident occurred during a seemingly routine navigation exercise, a test of skill and teamwork in the vast wilderness. During a navigation exercise, two young scouts, eager to prove their mettle, were paired together. Sam and his partner Leo set off into the forest, their youthful enthusiasm filling the air as they ventured into the woods, ready to tackle the challenges ahead. Sam and his partner Leo set off into the forest. They were following the buddy system, a fundamental rule of scouting, ensuring no one is ever truly alone in the wilderness. following the buddy system. As the afternoon wore on, the other scouts began to trickle back into camp, their faces flushed with exertion and accomplishment. When the other scouts returned, but amidst the cheerful reunions, a growing unease began to spread. Sam and Leo were missing, their absence casting a long shadow over the campsite. Sam and Leo were missing. Panic set in, and the leaders immediately organized a search party, fanning out across the trail, their voices echoing through the trees. The leaders searched the trail, calling their names. After what seemed like an eternity, they found Leo, but he was not the same. He was shaken, his eyes wide with terror, and he was utterly alone. Only found Leo, shaken, terrified, and alone. His words tumbled out in a frantic rush, a disjointed account of what had transpired in the woods. Leo babbled about a quiet man on the trail. He described the figure as tall, thin, dressed in drab clothes, blending seamlessly with the shadows of the forest. Tall, thin, dressed in drab clothes. According to Leo, this man didn't speak, didn't threaten, but simply beckoned with a single finger. And Sam, as if under a spell, entranced, followed the silent figure, drawn in by an unseen force. He followed him off the path and into the dense woods, where the trees grew thick and the undergrowth was nearly impenetrable. Off the path and into the dense woods, Leo tried to stop him, his voice cracking with fear, but Sam seemed deaf to his desperate pleas. Ignoring Leo's desperate pleas. Overwhelmed by terror, Leo ran in the opposite direction, desperate to escape the unsettling presence. Leo ran in the opposite direction. He stumbled and fell, his strength failing him, until finally, collapsing in fear, he was found by the search party. The authorities launched a full-scale search for Sam, a desperate attempt to bring him home. The search for Sam lasted a week. They deployed search dogs, their keen noses sniffing through the undergrowth, hoping to catch a trace of the missing boy. Dogs. Helicopters buzzed overhead, their rotors churning the air as they scanned the forest canopy for any sign of Sam. Helicopters' experienced trackers scoured the ground, their eyes trained to spot the slightest disturbance in the earth. A broken twig, a misplaced leaf. Trackers. But despite their tireless efforts, no trace was ever found. Sam had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a lingering sense of dread. No trace was ever found. The official story blamed the elements, suggesting Sam had succumbed to the harsh conditions of the wilderness. But the troop leader, haunted by Leo's account, believed Leo. He couldn't shake the feeling that something far more sinister was at play. He suspected that something inhuman lured Sam away, something ancient and malevolent that dwelled within the woods. Something inhuman lured Sam away. The look in Leo's eyes, the sheer terror etched upon his face, spoke volumes. The look in Leo's eyes, it was pure, soul-deep terror, the kind that leaves an indelible mark on the soul. And so, the legend persists. Some say the quiet man still walks those trails, a silent specter lurking in the shadows, forever searching for new victims. Some say the quiet man still walks those trails, waiting for someone to follow him into the woods, drawn by his silent call, lured into the darkness. Waiting for someone to follow him into the woods. Never to be seen again, lost forever in the depths of the forest. A chilling reminder of the unknown dangers that lurk just beyond the edge of the light. Never to return. Our final account comes from Chloe, a seasoned scout with years of experience under her belt. She recounts a chilling experience from a camping trip with her co-ed scout group, a group of adventurous teenagers eager to explore the wilderness. Their destination was a remote Sierra Nevada lake, nestled high in the mountains, far from civilization and any easy access to help. This lake had a local reputation, known ominously as the Lake of Whispers. The first night was peaceful, filled with the usual campfire stories and laughter under a starlit sky. The scouts settled into their sleeping bags, excited for the adventures the next day would bring. But on the second day, the weather took a turn. As dusk approached, a thick fog rolled in, blanketing the lake and surrounding forest in an eerie shroud. The fog was so dense it seemed to absorb all light and sound, muffling all sound. The cheerful atmosphere of the previous night was replaced by an unsettling silence. That's when they heard it, a sound that would forever be etched in their memories. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly, soft, overlapping whispers. The whispers seemed to be drifting from the lake, carried on the fog. As the minutes passed, the whispers grew louder, more distinct, beckoning, as if trying to lure them closer. The words were impossible to understand, a jumbled mess of syllables, but the intent was clear and impossible to ignore. The group fell silent, huddled around the dying embers of the campfire, listening, trying to decipher the source and meaning of the unsettling sounds. Fear, palpable and heavy, began to creep into their hearts. But alongside the fear, there was also a strange fascination, an irresistible pull towards the sound. The flickering campfire flames danced on their faces, casting eerie shadows that amplified the growing sense of unease. One scout, a young man named Ryan, seemed particularly affected. He became entranced, his eyes glazed over as he stared towards the lake. He began insisting the voices were calling his name, beckoning him to join them in the water. An advisor, noticing Ryan's strange behavior, quickly pulled him back, trying to snap him out of his trance. But the whispers persisted, growing stronger, more insistent, as if fueled by Ryan's attention. The scouts retreated to their tents, hoping to find some respite from the unsettling sounds, but the whispers followed them, seeping into their tents and minds. In the dead of night, when the fog was at its thickest and the whispers at their loudest, a scream shattered the silence, a piercing, blood-curdling sound that sent shivers down everyone's spines. Ryan's tent was empty. His sleeping bag lay undisturbed, but he was gone. A frantic search began, and they soon found his footprints leading straight to the water's edge. The track stopped abruptly, disappearing into the dark, still water. There was no sign of a struggle, no splash to indicate he had entered the water willingly or otherwise. There was just silence, broken only by the triumphant rise of the whispers, now louder and clearer than ever before. The remaining members of the group huddled together until dawn, their fear a tangible presence in the cold night air. They were terrified, listening to the lake's secrets, wondering if they would be next to succumb to its allure. Search teams were called in at first light, but they found nothing. Ryan was never seen again, swallowed by the lake and its whispers. Chloe says she still hears those whispers sometimes, a faint echo in the back of her mind, a constant reminder of that terrifying night. She believes the whispers are ancient, hungry, a malevolent force that dwells within the lake, and waiting, always waiting, for someone to answer their call, to succumb to their seductive promises and join them in the depths. The fire is dying and the shadows are closing in. The stories of Kevin, Sam, and Ryan remind us that the wild holds mysteries darker than we imagine. These aren't just tales. They're warnings from those who came back changed or didn't come back at all. If these stories chilled you, like and subscribe for more true, terrifying tales. Share your own experiences in the comments. Your story might be featured next. Until then, sleep well. And remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones you can't explain.